Hi everyone, I'm Peaceful Nick the Medium and welcome to my live stream today. Today I'm going to talk about mediumship and give mediumship information. I'm talking about my new class that's starting March 16th. I am expecting a pretty big storm here soon, so hopefully that will not affect this live. It might, I don't know. I'm starting beginner's class March 16th, as I said. I also have a coupon that is good until January 31st for half off any reading, a full reading. It's Holly 2023. You can see it in the scroll at the bottom. I also have mini mediumship readings on January 15th. Very limited seating available on that day. They're only $35 for a 15-minute reading. So if you're new to mediumship, this is a great way to get your feet wet with a mediumship reading. So if you have any questions, please ask me. I am going to talk about, hi Jill. I'm going to talk about, oh no, my little clicker. Yay, we are getting it now. Awesome. Yeah, I just popped on. I'm going to talk about just general things about mediumship that I get a lot of questions about, and the things that are going to be in my upcoming class. I got to have my coffee to get me through. We got out of work early today because we're expecting this big storm, so it's going to be fast and dangerous. So let me pull that list out of my other window here and I will talk. So if you have any questions, Jill, let me know. If you have any friends you would like to invite, please do so. I'm trying to manage a bunch of different windows here so I can see the comments and the information. All right, so my beginner's class is a 6-month mediumship mentorship. You'll have access to ask me questions anytime. Obviously, in the middle of the night, I'm not going to answer mediumship questions. Oh, great question, Jill. What does it mean when you wake up and you hear hello, Jill? I responded really fast. Responding, thanking them for coming. It was in my left ear. Great question. So if you've been to, a doctor and you don't have any problems with your ears, I would say, because this has happened to me, and I'm sure this has happened to many people. I'm just reading the next question. I'm sure this has happened to many people. Someone's trying to get your attention. And they do this by saying it in your ear, right? Because they're like, okay, this is how I can get my energy through to my loved one. So when you heard the name, because your comments may be coming in a little out of order, so I'm not exactly sure what's being said. But if you thought of someone as soon as you heard the name, that's probably who it is. Say it's your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa. It was a female feeling. So you're using your clair audience. And that is a very special clair. That means clear hearing. If I freeze, it's because of the storm coming. Not everybody has clairaudience. It could be it could be your spirit guide. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about in my class that I was just going to list. So let me go back to that in just a second, Jill. In the mediumship class, the beginner's mentorship, it meets every 4 weeks for 6 months through Zoom. This can be booked on my website. It's about halfway full right now, and I keep my classes pretty small. I haven't really advertised it yet, so it's probably going to fill up quickly. But we will talk about finding your spirit guide. I have a free guide to finding your spirit guide on my website. You just click a button, put your email address in, and it sends you the guide with a link to a free video. So all of that's free. And you can, yeah, okay, good. And you can get that there if you don't already have it. Yeah. Okay. So I guess you have that already. But for anybody else watching the replay, you can get your free guide to finding your spirit guide on my website. It's free, completely free, no obligation. And a link to the video. And if you subscribe to my YouTube page, you'll see all kinds of free mediumship stuff on there, like all kinds of different explanations of things. I actually have a mini class on my YouTube page. It's like an hour of it's a free class I did on Zoom, and it has like everything condensed into an hour. Like it goes really fast. In my regular class, it doesn't go that fast. It's a lot more slowed down and a lot more interactive. But I was giving a demonstration for people who wanted to see what my mentorship was about. So you can watch that. It's pretty condensed. We'll learn about psychic versus medium. Most people don't know the difference. I didn't know when I became a medium, when I got my training, I didn't know the difference between psychic and mediumship. I kind of knew a little, but I wasn't really sure the difference between being a psychic and being a medium. But we'll learn about that. And the main difference is a medium connects to your loved ones in spirit. A psychic connects to you and what's going on in your life right now. Oh, good. Good. I'm glad. You'll learn how to move your mind to the spirit world and hold the connection with your spirit that you're communicating with in order to give information to the sitter in front of you. I like to say it is similar to if you have children or you've ever babysat or you have a pet and you're outdoors with them and you constantly have this like connection with them if they're running around the playground or the dog park, and you're like constantly connected to that child or that pet. You just feel that connection. You got to watch them and make sure they're okay. That's how it is when I'm connecting to spirit. I constantly can feel that energy. I can feel it. And most of the time mine is on the right side. Occasionally it's on the left. Most of the time I can feel the connection with the loved one in spirit, and I can literally physically feel, it's not like a buzzing. It's just, I don't know. It just feels like an energetic connection. Do I have payment plans for my class? My class, you only pay once a month. You don't pay it all up front. And if you need to split that up, email me. I'd be absolutely thrilled and happy to work with you on that. Okay. So if you can only pay half twice a month, that's fine too. I also go through all the clairs. So you asked about hearing the word outside of your head. Clairaudience is hearing. Claircognizance is knowing. You get a tingling feeling on your head at night on the right side. Oh, thank you, Jill. I'm glad you feel comfortable. I know this is a weird time of day. It's the middle of the day. Everybody's probably at work, but the replay will go out, which is fine. The tingling, that is it can be clairsentience. There may be other words for this from other teachers, but the feeling is sentience. Okay, your husband. Feel on my head. Oh, I thought you said hand. Yeah, the head. Yeah. If you feel it, that they can make you tingle. I get that occasionally. But if you feel it and then you think of him, that's very likely him coming through with just, maybe he's pressing his cheek against yours, to say, I'm here, I love you, I'm with you. Um, so know that it's very likely him. All right. So let's see. What else will we learn? Um, oh, about the clairs. I was talking about the clairs. Clairsentience is the feeling. And I get a lot of physical pains when I'm doing readings. I can feel the way people passed or a sickness they may have had in their life. Yeah, I have been told that he was my head at night, give me a kiss on my forehead and rub my head. Yeah, yep. Yeah, yep, that's right. Um, Claircognizance is a clair I had my whole life, and I didn't know I had it. I thought everybody, oh no, it's no problem. Oh, I know I sneak at work sometimes too. Um, Claire, Claircognizance is clear knowing. And that's when you know something before it happens. And I thought everybody always knows. And I feel silly now thinking that everybody had that. I didn't know it was something everybody had. I didn't know. But claircognizance is a clear knowing. Anything precognitive, like if you have a dream and it happens. I've had a couple of distinct dreams in my life that came true the next day, but I just thought it was normal. Jill, I love that. You can tell when somebody's pregnant before they know. That happens to me. That's happened to me my whole life, actually. People used to rub my arm and say I was a pregnancy totem because I always knew when people were pregnant, and people who came around me always seemed to be pregnant, like right away within, a few months of knowing me. It sounds so strange, but that's, I don't think I caused that. It was just a thing because I could predict it. The other clairs, so claircognizance is clear knowing, clairaudience is clear hearing, clairsentience is clear feeling, clairvoyance is clear seeing. I see most of the things in my head. And then when you learn your clairs and you're developing, they kind of overlap. And you're not just using one clair. It's best if you are using a lot of clairs, because then you become a more well-rounded medium. There's also clear smelling and clear tasting. I rarely get those. I usually use clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, and clairvoyance. Those are my four main clairs I use, and they just really overlap. But when you're first starting and developing, you may use one more than the other, but they will change as you develop. So that's a little bit about clairs. You'll also learn how to find your spirit guide, which is what we talked about at the beginning. You can get your free guide to your spirit guide on my website. It's totally free, and there's a link to a video. There's lots of videos on my YouTube page here, free videos. And taste and smelling, not that common. Yeah, some people get taste and smelling often. I've gotten it probably a couple dozen times in the thousands of readings I've done now. I don't get it a lot. It has to be something very specific, like chicken and dumplings or a specific kind of pie. Usually, it's some type of delicious food someone used to cook. You'll also learn how to make the connection to spirit. So it takes practice for those of you who will be watching the replay. Some people just naturally make the connection. They just naturally do. It's no problem. And some people naturally make the connection and then they go to mediumship class and the connection gets fuzzy or lost, or they just can't do it. That's because their mind got in the way. You can't overthink it. You have to trust and allow the spirit to come through. When I first started doing readings for practice in my classes, I wasn't as nervous as when I started charging people for mediumship readings. That's a different level of stress because you're charging money and you don't want to do a bad job. So making the connection when you're overthinking it and you're not trusting and allowing, making the connection can be hard. And you can kind of lose the connection if you haven't practiced and practiced and practiced and done many readings. Now that I've been doing mediumship, this month is my 5th year anniversary of me becoming or having my first very important mediumship experience. You know, it changed my life, and it was something very important that happened, and making the connection for me now is so much more natural. The initial few experiences I had before I knew I was a medium were extreme and natural. And then I got training, and then you start overthinking it, and then you're like, oh my God, what if the spirit doesn't show up? Oh my God, what if the spirit doesn't show up? And then you do so many that you realize, oh, they're going to show up. They always show up. They're going to be there. So I don't even worry about it now. I used to do this whole thing where I needed 30 minutes of silence, and I had to go in my little office space and get ready and be quiet, and everything had to be just right, and I had to do a little meditation or sitting in the power. And then now I pretty much, I'll go to the grocery store and I'll do the dishes and I'll clean my desk or whatever. And, I only really need a few minutes to just get into my office and sit down and sit in front of the Zoom. And they show up. They always show up. And it's always, before any appointment ever, it's natural for someone to use the restroom, go to their appointment, right? So it seems like they know that pattern. And so as soon as I go in there to relieve myself before my reading, there they are in my head. I can see them. Sometimes when I'm walking up the stairs to my office, there they are in my head. I can see them. So it's interesting. It's interesting that they're like, okay, we know she's ready. Here we go. We're popping in. They just get used to the fact that you're going to be doing readings and your loved one's coming. Yeah, Jill, that is a Claire as well. Knowing, it's like an intuition, right? Knowing when someone is bothered by something, you can feel their energy. I have so many orbs in my home. Spirits, someone told me they know I am open. Yeah, they do. I've said that to people before too. It's like you have this little antenna. All right, come and talk to me. Come and talk to me. That's how I always describe it. They know you're open to receive. But that's another thing, and that's the next on my list, discipline and boundaries. So what will happen to some people is they won't have boundaries with their readings, I clicked something. They won't have boundaries with their mediumship and with the spirit, and the spirits will just keep coming in and just keep coming in and just keep coming in and just keep coming in. You have to have boundaries, and you can't just let them always come in because you have to live your human life. And discipline and boundaries is something you'll learn in the beginner's class. You have to have human life. You can't always live in the spirit world, even though, in my opinion, the spirits are much nicer than the humans in the world. But you do have to live in the human world most of the time. And so you have to say, okay, spirit, like I have a day job and then I have a science job on the side and I have my mediumship. Well, I have to keep those things compartmentalized and separate. And before I learned discipline and boundaries from my teacher, I good. I'm glad you told Julia. Before I learned boundaries, when I would go to work and I was first training to become a medium, the spirits would pop in while I was at my day job. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, I can't give a reading to this lady at work. First of all, for many reasons. One, you should never approach someone and just give them a cold reading without their permission or knowing, because they may have lost their loved one 2 days ago and they may be very traumatized by it, and you definitely don't want to cause them to experience more trauma. Hello, everyone who's joining. You also need their permission ahead of time. I've asked one person, and this was a person who was a friend. Their loved one came through to me the night before work. It was somebody at work a few years ago. And I just felt like this person really, really needed this message because of her lifestyle. And I think it would heal this person very much. And I didn't know this about this person, but she said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any of that. And I said, okay. And I never brought it up again. And I normally would never do that, but this message came so strong. But you have to accept when you're doing this work that not everyone wants a message. Not everyone's open to a message. And you just have to tell spirit, which is what I did, when the time is right, make it so she can get this message somehow, some way. And I guarantee you, and I don't know this for a fact, but I would guarantee, almost 100% guarantee, that this person dreamt about her loved one in spirit within 2 weeks after that. Because when they want the message to come through, it's going to come through. Whether it's through a medium or through a dream, they're going to get the message across. They're just going to. Like that medium you mentioned there in the chat. It's very, I think about that a lot. It's very, very, very probable, probably 100% chance that these are setups. She's not just walking into the grocery store and randomly giving a reading. You have to get a form signed to approve that you're going to even be on TV. So I'm going to guess that's all done prior to them filming. So I'm sure she's gotten their permission ahead of time. They just set it up. Yeah. I agree. Hello, those of you who are joining. How funny. It's like you're looking at my list, because the next thing on the list is cold readings and planned readings. And discipline and boundaries go with that, right? You have to have self-discipline and discipline with spirit. So you're not just, going to work or going to the grocery store or the mall or whatever and just giving random readings to people. You could really upset people by doing that. So you definitely want people who are interested in getting a reading and want to get a reading. You don't just want to randomly walk up to somebody. It's just not good practice. Readings should be planned. And that brings up ethics in mediumship. So what's ethical? Oh, the list is long. If someone ever direct messages you, I have a lot of fake accounts that copy me and send messages to people and say they're me and say, oh, I feel your spirit, and I've picked you for a reading. This happened the other night. One of my very, very, very best friends that I've known for decades called me, and she, we usually are texters. And I was like, that's weird. She's calling me. And she goes, are you messaging me on TikTok right now? I said, no. I've never sent her a message on TikTok. And she said, someone is sending me a message on TikTok saying I want a free reading. And it's somebody that spelled my username, but instead of THE, they spelled it THA. Copy my profile picture, download some of my videos, and post them on their page and pretend they're me and get money. And I've had, good. Yeah, I've had people pretending to be me send me a message saying that I want a reading. I mean, they're just clicking buttons. They're copying and pasting, and click, copy, paste, click, copy, paste, click. And who knows how much money they've got to be making money scamming people, or else they wouldn't be doing it. And it's a shame. It's a shame because it gives real mediums a bad name. Yeah, they do that to other people. They do that to anybody on social media that's doing anything that they can make money off of. They're going to copy them. It doesn't have to be mediumship. It could be literally anything. And the ones that bug me the most and I block the fastest are the love spell people. I got my true love back from such and such and Dr. blah, blah, blah. I block those as fast as I possibly can. It's horrible. Horrible. No one can make your love come back to you. That's not how it works. So you need to have ethics in mediumship. Mediums shouldn't contact you. Mediums should never, ever, ever send you a questionnaire ahead of a reading. Never. I don't even want to know your name, honestly. Like, my readings are better if I know nothing. Like, I don't need to know anything. When you show up to the Zoom, you could literally be anybody, and your loved ones in spirit know that. I don't need to know it. I'm just a vessel. I'm just giving the information. It doesn't matter what human's sitting on the other end. The spirit already knows they're coming for the reading. That's called spiritual intelligence. Spirit world knows everything because there's no time in the spirit world. They can see everything happening all at once. So they can just drop into the timeline and say, oh, okay, on Tuesday at 4:11 Eastern time, she's going to go live and my loved one's going to be there and I'm going to give a reading. They already know. What else about ethics? A medium should never, ever tell you your loved one is stuck. Give them money to unstick them. That happens all the time. People pay money to get their loved one freed from this realm. No. Humans have no ability to unstick a spirit. Spirit is so powerful, we have no ability to control what they do whatsoever. So there's nobody stuck. No spirit is stuck. That is not a thing. Excuse me. No one's in hell. Hell is not a place. Hell is made up. If you, Dan McClellan on TikTok, and he has YouTube, Data Over Dogma, a great podcast. Love him dearly. Love his content. I mean, I don't know him personally. I just love his content. I like information that is scholarly, and that's why I like his in Data Over Dogma, Dan McClellan, very much. Um, Hell is not a place, and he has videos about that. No one goes to hell. You can't release anybody from hell. That's not a thing. An ethical medium will never tell you that. They'll never yell at you. They'll never tell you someone's mad or angry at you. I've seen so many crazy things in unethical mediumship. An ethical medium, if they cannot make a connection to your loved one in spirit, like if they honestly can't make a connection, not not if you're a skeptic who just didn't like the reading. If you do not get a connection with your ethical medium, they should offer you a redo, a refund, or a referral to someone else. Some of us mediums have deals like I'll give your cousin a reading if you give my sister a reading, and then that way nobody's getting a reading that they know too much about. I don't like to give my family and good friends readings. I feel very uncomfortable about it because I feel like I know too much to give them a reading. I feel like they'll think I'm faking it. So I like to refer mine out. So those are some of the things. If you have any questions, let's see. I used to know more than my husband. Now he knows more than me. That's a great comment. Yeah, we know stuff, right? My throat is getting really dry. I don't know if it's something it's really windy from the storm coming in, so maybe there's some dust kicking up. How to hold your connection to spirit and talk to the sitter. So when you're giving a reading and your sitter's either in front of you in person or on Zoom or some other platform, you have to be able to hold your connection to the person in spirit and give information to the human. Oh, where are you, Jill? So when I first started practicing doing practice readings, it was hard for me to get the information and then say it to the sitter and then go back and still have the spirit be there. It takes practice. So you don't want to lose your connection. Chicago. Oh gosh. Yeah, you guys got a lot. You don't want to lose your connection to the spirit when you're talking to the sitter. So we practice doing readings. And the only way to get better at mediumship is to do readings. You can go to 1,000 classes and still be a terrible medium because you didn't do any readings. You're not going to get better by not doing readings. You have to do the readings. I was very lucky in my mediumship journey for two things. For one, I had an excellent teacher that taught me a lot of information in a very short period of time, and she pushed me. She pushed my limits to stretch me to make sure I would learn. And I had a very good friend who had a very large family that I really didn't know, and a very large group of friends. And I probably did 50 practice readings before I started charging with those people because of her. She set them all up for me, which was a wonderful gift that I am eternally grateful for. Because you have to do readings with strangers. You just have to do it. You can't, keep reading your family over and over. That you're not going to get better that way. Yeah, it was really cool. And you're not going to be able to do it well without doing readings. And there's different kinds of evidence. So there's strong evidence and weak evidence. for me, and every medium's different. Some mediums get a lot of names. Some mediums get addresses. Some mediums get phone numbers. That's not me. I don't get a lot of names. When I hear a name in a mediumship reading, I say it because I rarely hear a name. So when I do hear a name, it's always, I would say most of the time, important to the evidence. I don't get like numbers a lot, but when I get a number, it's important. I had a reading the other day and I kept hearing 22, 22, 22, 22. And I'm like, I never get numbers. And I said, do you understand 22, like date of birth or something? She goes, that's my birthday, the 22nd. I said, okay, well, I don't really ever get numbers, so that must be very important. So there's strong evidence and weak evidence. For me, if I hear a name or a number, it's strong for me because it's usually accurate. But sometimes you'll see a group reading on TV or on social media, and they're like, I feel a John or a Mary over in this area. Well, yeah, John and Mary are common. My grandpa was John and my grandma was Mary. So people my age will always have relatives John or Mary. It was very common. So to me, that's not strong evidence. It may be accurate. Those people may have loved ones with John or Mary that are passed, but those are common. Now, I was doing a reading once on a TikTok live, and I don't know these people. They're just strangers on the internet. And this woman lost her child, and all of a sudden I just kept seeing an X. And I was getting the message I had a 1-letter name. Now, I don't know if the letter was X. I don't remember now. But I said, did your daughter have a 1-letter name? And the answer was yes. Their child did have a 1-letter name. Now, that's rare. Like, I've never met a person with a 1-letter name before. So that's strong evidence. So you see how a name can be weak or it could be strong. It just depends on the circumstance. Same thing with numbers. There's, really, really, really strong evidence when you go deep into a story and you follow the story through the reading, and you may have a very important lesson in the story. Like I can taste dust. I can see work boots. I can see an oil rig. I can see the oil rig blowing up, and that's how your loved one passed. That's pretty deep evidence. That's pretty good evidence. Pretty strong. Earlier, I mentioned spiritual intelligence. Spirit world knows all, sees all. They just know everything. And because of the way time works, there's no time in spirit, so they can see our life from birth to death and our other lives we've lived and their lives as well. So they can see everything. They know all. Then there's emotional intelligence, and this is true for humans as well. We need to have emotional intelligence if we're going to be doing readings. Actually, I have the book Emotional Intelligence on my bookshelf back there. Emotional intelligence is when you're mature enough emotionally. It's being emotionally mature is what it is. When you can have a normal conversation with someone. I'm going to get a Halls here. When you can have a normal conversation with somebody, let's say somebody criticizes you. Here's an example of emotional intelligence. Oh, Jill, you get 80808 all the time. Yes, probably a sign, I would say. Let's say somebody criticizes you and you freak out. That's not emotionally intelligent. if somebody criticizes you, and you take a moment and you absorb the information and you think about it, is that true about me? If it's true, you have to evaluate it. Do I do something? Do I need to change that? Or is that just something that bothers that person? Oh, good, Jill. Good. If somebody criticizes you and you evaluate it and you really reflect, and then you realize that's not really true about me, but this person may be projecting their own insecurities on me, you don't have to say, oh, you're just projecting. Being emotionally intelligent is saying, thank you for letting me know and bringing that to my attention. I'm going to think about that. That's being emotionally intelligent. And then actually thinking about it and really self-reflecting. Not just saying, oh, that's just them. That's emotional intelligence. And we need to do a lot of inner work in order to know that we can be a good medium, because, and this is a really important point, when you have not done, some people call it shadow work, I call it therapy. When you've not done the work to heal yourself, now everybody's not going to be perfectly healed. That's not even possible. But if you are working on healing yourself and you become aware of your own dysfunction and you're always trying to better yourself and make your life better, you're going to be a better medium. There are mediums who say very negative things to their clients, very negative things. No good medium should ever leave a client feeling negative. Anytime you do a reading, you should always try to end the reading where your client feels safe and positive. You don't want to tell a disaster story about their loved one and be like, oh, time's up. Sorry, your loved one passed in this horrible, tragic way. You always want to bring it around to where when the reading is ending, that they feel safe. You feel that they will be safe. I've had readings go long because even though I wasn't giving them negative information, they were just in the grips of grief so badly that I had to talk to them until I felt comfortable knowing that they weren't going to harm themselves, that they were going to be safe and okay. Because this profession isn't just, oh, here's the message, bye. No, you should care about your clients. Oh, Jill, I'm sorry. Oh, that's terrible. No one should ever tell you that. That is not. Jill saying someone told her loved one cheated their whole marriage. No one should ever say that in a reading. That is totally unnecessary. And no one, I don't agree with that. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it in that way. There are other ways to, well, I don't even want to go down that road. The love you had with your loved one is, see, and you went into a dark place. That's not what mediumship is for. You don't want to leave. I'm very sorry that happened to you. I'm very sorry. That should never happen. Never. Other things that you will learn in the beginner's class with me, the beginner's mentorship, is your database of information. So you have a full brain full of information. That's called the database by many, many mediums across the mediumship world. And it's like a computer database, right? It stores all the information. So I may get a song I'm familiar with in my head, and there may be a line in the song I'm hearing that has nothing to do with the song, but has to do with the person I'm communicating with. So it may be, Blue Eyes, I love you, or something. And then that may be a line in a song that I hear that I'm familiar with. And then the client may say, oh, well, that was something that my loved one always told me. They called me Blue Eyes, something like that. That's just a simple example. Your database is all the information in your head that the spirits can use to bring through a story to the client sitting in front of you. It's important. And so I have a lot of experience with drug and alcohol addiction because both my parents were drug addicts or alcoholics. So I have a lot of experience with addiction recovery and people who pass away from addiction. So I get a lot of clients, spirit brings them to me because I have so much experience with that, because they know that's my database. I've never traveled outside of the country, not because I didn't want to, I just haven't. But if someone was a world traveler and they're a medium, they're probably going to get more clients from other parts of the world, because the medium will have that in their database to be familiar with other parts of the world. I hope that makes sense. Oh, I'm sorry, Jill. Yeah, that's not okay. Oh, well. Okay. Symbols. Some mediums work a lot with symbols, some don't. I have a few symbols, probably less than 5, that are regular. I don't have a lot. Oh, I'm glad you worked through it. Some mediums use symbols all the time. There's no right or wrong. It's just everyone's brain is a little bit different. Every medium works a little bit differently. And spirit works with you differently from person to person based on how your mind works. I'm really an outside of the box type of thinker. And I think that may be why I'm not like a linear thinker. I'm like everything's just kind of everywhere type of thinker. So I think that's why I don't get a lot of symbols, but some mediums get a lot of symbols, and it doesn't matter if you get symbols or not. What matters is that you convey the message to your sitter, as long as it's accurate and helpful and healing. Colors, letters, and numbers. Those are other things we'll cover. How do you practice seeing a color in a reading? If grandma had a mink coat that she passed down through the line, how would you figure out that color? How would you see letters embroidered on a sweater? Numbers. How would you figure out what somebody's, age is, for instance? So these are things where you'll learn in the beginner's mentorship. There are different types of mediumship. You'll learn about that. How to tell the client something terrible in a gentle way. So if I saw something tragic happen, this happened to me, it may have been on a live, I don't remember. Or it could have been a one-on-one or a group or something. I had someone coming through in spirit saying they unalived themselves, but they were saying the word, not unalive, the other word. I don't want to get banned. And I was telling the client, I said, he's telling me something, but I don't want to upset you by saying it. And she said, just say it. And I said it. And she's like, that's exactly what happened. And that was because the client felt comfortable and I asked her permission. I wouldn't normally say that. When you have to convey something terrible gently, you start by saying, taking responsibility for their death. That means something they did caused it. Or my teacher taught me, if there was a loss of a child, baby born asleep. Something to that matter, instead of saying it another way. So you'll learn techniques to say things gently. And what do you do if a sitter or client tells you no, your information's incorrect? So what I do is, if my client's like, no, I don't understand that, because I instruct my clients to say yes, no, maybe, or I don't know, to the information. If I say, would you understand that your grandma had an old wooden rocking horse in their basement? And if they say no, I push the energy of the thought that I got back to spirit. And I say, can you tell me that again? Can you show me in a different way? And most of the time, they send the same information back to me. So I push it back with my energy and they keep coming back. Most of the time, I'm either interpreting it wrong or the client doesn't remember. We call it psychic amnesia. When a client doesn't remember because they're excited or anxious about the reading. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten after readings that say, oh my God, that's exactly what happened, but I forgot. I was doing a reading for a lady and her husband one day, and I was giving them all this information, this, and it was very strong information from their loved one in spirit. And they're like, I don't get that. They didn't know. No, oh, no. And I'm like, I know this is accurate because the spirit's telling me it is, and I trust spirit. After the reading, 10 minutes later, I get an email. Now, I don't know if she was embarrassed to say yes in front of her husband. Maybe he was a skeptic or something. But I got a series of emails with a picture of this picture of probably about 5 or 6 of the things I said to her that she said no to, that were accurate. So when you're a practicing medium, trust spirit enough to know that they know, whether you're misinterpreting it or whether the client doesn't remember. The spirit knows. And sometimes it's as simple as what's in my database in my brain may not be the same interpretation that the spirit's giving me the information to convey to the client. Sometimes I'm using my own mind to reinterpret what they're giving me instead of trying to find out what it actually is, if that makes sense. And so that is a basic outline of what is in my beginner's mediumship mentorship 6 months. That starts March 16th. Again, it's about halfway full right now. I keep my classes small and personal. And I have a coupon code for 50% off any reading through the end of January, Holly 2023. I also have mini mediumship readings Monday, January 15th for only $35. So if you're new to mediumship, this is a great way to introduce yourself to getting a mediumship reading. And my computer's doing something weird. Thank you, Jill, for being here with me through this whole live. And I will be going live here more often. The storm's starting to really kick up out here, so I'm going to log off for now. And I'll probably go live again later in the week or on the weekend. And I'm going to be doing more informational sessions about mediumship and more readings about mediumship. I'm moving my content. Oh, thank you. I've enjoyed our conversation. I appreciate that. I'll be doing more live readings here, moving my content over to YouTube more and more and more. And I hope to see you all on the replay and on my next live. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate it very much. Have a great, safe day and stay warm, Jill. Bye.